How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I want to talk about why it might not be a good reason to sell Bitcoin ever, not to take profits even on Bitcoin. Now, I'm going to give both sides of the story and let you decide for yourself whether you want to sell some Bitcoin during the next market cycle, whether you want to take some profits, or have an alternative set up that might even be better. Now, I also want to talk about Cathie Wood because she recently sold some crypto. She sold a Bitcoin related stock, GBTC. I want to talk about whether we should be concerned about that or not. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on that bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. While you're down there too, there are a couple links that you should check out. Treasure still has 40% off for their Black Friday sale. It only lasts 2 more days. So if you haven't gotten a Treasure wallet already, if you have Ledger, or if you have some other cold storage, or if you don't have any cold storage, you should check out this link to Treasure underneath the video. It also makes a great gift for the holidays for anyone that's investing in cryptocurrency. And like I said, you're not going to get a better deal than this. There's also a link down there to Blofin. You can actually win a chance to get an iPhone 15. So definitely check that out. This is an exchange that you can trade leverage with. There's no KYC. There's no VPN needed. So if you want to check it out, I do like the platform. I have some crypto on the platform as well. You can check it out underneath the video. Now, we just got news that Cathie Wood is dumping 700,000 GBT shares in 1 month. That's $21 million worth at today's prices. Now, this is kind of hitting headlines. I think some people are worried about it. Some people think that she's just pumping up cryptocurrency and then dumping on us, right? People talk about me doing that too. Like they're saying I'm just pumping up some hundred or multi-$100 million cryptocurrency and then dumping it. First of all, I'm not dumping anything right now. I'm accumulating every single asset that I can in crypto. Not literally, but I am just buying. I'm not selling at this point. And second of all, neither I or Cathie Woods can really change the price of these assets that we're talking about. Like, I can't move $100 million market cap that much. And Cathie Wood definitely can't move GBTC a ton either. With all the institutional investment right now, it's not like she's going to dump it 20% in a day because she sells something, right? She can influence it a little bit. Maybe some people would sell if she sold her entire position, but that's not what's happening right now. She sold a decent amount, right? $20 million worth or so, but she still holds a huge amount. She still holds about $132 million worth of GBTC. And part of the reason I think she sold, probably the majority of the reason, is just because it's gone up so much already. It's up 280% year to date. And they can only hold so much of a certain asset in a portfolio. I forgot exactly where it shows in here, but she has about 9.2% of ARKW's portfolio in GBTC. So there's only so much that you can actually hold of one asset. The most that they have in any asset in this portfolio is 10.4%, and they have 9.2% in GBTC. So they're hitting that max threshold. They've done this before with Tesla. It's not that they're shilling their book. They're not just telling you that Bitcoin's going to go up so that they can dump GBT shares on you. The other thing is, too, they might be seeding their ETF. We know recently BlackRock announced that they're going to be buying Bitcoin for their ETF. That was back in October. They may be doing something similar for ARK, or just getting ready to do that as well. So they're maybe selling a little bit of GBTC so they can buy some straight Bitcoin, which is bullish. Now, I want to talk about something that's maybe not the sexiest thing in the world, but is super important. Profit taking. I was talking with my brother-in-law about this weekend, and we both came to the same conclusion. It's going to be really hard to sell Bitcoin. Now, altcoins, you write them up, you sell them, you make a ton of money. But Bitcoin is totally different. Bitcoin, there's a huge problem with selling that I'm working through myself, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments, but it's totally different than every other altcoin in my opinion. And it makes it much harder to take profits from here on out on Bitcoin. Now, keep in mind, I do think the next bull run is going to be nuts. There's record amounts of money market assets. There's nearly $6 trillion in money market funds. It seems like the Fed is going to start lowering rates probably in a couple months, maybe sometime next year, which will make people flood money from these money market accounts back into the market. We've already seen that this year. We've seen record interest among institutional investors in cryptocurrency. So I think that there's this fixed supply of most cryptos, a lot of cryptos, or at least there's a certain amount that's being inflated, and the demand is going to highly exceed that. Highly exceed, I'm not sure that's the right way to put it, but there's going to be so much demand. We're going to have another market cycle where we pump up a lot. And a lot of people are looking at this chart to take profits. If you haven't seen this, I did a full video on this chart. It's actually a great chart for data a couple of days ago. I'll put it on the end screen. But as you can see here, every cycle, every circle is 4 years. It's basically every halving. So we're close to this halving, about 6 months away. And we're about 2 years from the previous peaks, the historical peaks in Bitcoin. About a year after that, we have bottoms. So a lot of people are saying, okay, in about 2 years, I'll sell. And then a year from then, I'll buy, which is probably not the worst thing to do. Like, you'll probably do pretty well. You won't time the top perfectly. You won't time the bottom perfectly, but you'll do pretty well probably. Another thing that you can look at is the psychology of a market cycle. And the Rational Root made a new chart on that as well. We're kind of in this disbelief/doubt phase, and we'll go to hope, calm, optimism, belief, intermission, thrill, euphoria, and that's probably the best time to sell, right? About 2 years from now, still on this cycle. That's great. But like I said, there is record amounts of money sitting around. We also know that there are institutions that are buying Bitcoin, right? We have the Houston firefighters, a retirement fund buying. We have BlackRock buying, Fidelity buying, ARK Invest buying. We have companies buying. We have countries buying. There are a lot of people that are just going to dollar cost average or buy large amounts. There are countries building up Bitcoin miners. There are all types of things happening behind the scenes specific to Bitcoin. We also know that the supply is dwindling. We have 93% of the total supply of 21 million Bitcoins being issued over the last 14 years. And we're going to have 7% over the next 117 years. So there's a huge change happening right now. This is like a huge inflection point in the Bitcoin supply, right? We've moved up 40,000x, 400,000x, depending on where you look at Bitcoin starting. I mean, I've seen it under a cent before, way 14 years ago. So Bitcoin's gone up exponentially. And there's been a lot of new supply hitting the markets. Now everyone knows about it. That large institutions and countries are starting to get the ability to buy Bitcoin. And yet the supply is lower than ever. And the only sellers, or the biggest sellers of Bitcoin typically are the miners. So we're running into this problem where the supply is dwindling. People are actually going to lose more Bitcoin every day than new Bitcoin's going to hit the market pretty soon here. And that's not something you can track because we don't know exactly who's lost Bitcoin, but you can see Bitcoin that hasn't been touched in 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, and kind of assume maybe that they would move it off. So we're running into this problem where there's not enough new Bitcoin and there's a lot of growing demand. So what happens to price? Exponential up. We also know if you think about taking profits on Bitcoin now, I actually saw someone saying that they're going to start taking profits on Bitcoin around like 40 or 50,000. We also know that the price may never hit this level again. Like we might wick down, we might hit this as support when we hit 42 and then we come back down to 37.5 or 38, then we move back up. But after 6 months from now, we may never hit this again. And the reason for that is from the last market top back in, let's say 2017 actually. So not 2021, 2022, but the market before that, to this last bear market, we only fell about 20% down in that time span. We only fell down from 2017 peak to bottom of 2023 or 2022. We only fell down about 20%. So we went from 19,000 to 15,000. If that holds up, our last peak was 69,000, 67, depending on where you're looking. That means we may never get under 50,000 again. We might just hit like 52, 53, 54. And that's just based on history. That's not even based on this huge market cycle or this new paradigm where we never have another bear market. That's just based on historical context. So this might be, well, from here to the next bear market bottom, might still be like a 30, 40, 50% return. So if you time it horribly from here on out, you still might get a 40 or 50% return. So it is hard to sell Bitcoin. Part of that is because we may have this never-ending cycle where we have retirement accounts adopt Bitcoin. We have retirement funds or pension funds adopt Bitcoin. We have large institutions shilling it to everyone that they can, everyone that will listen. And Bitcoin's different. Bitcoin is different than altcoins. It isn't as risky. It's more decentralized. It has better properties, right? It's a fixed supply, while altcoins are much more risky in my opinion. Now, there's also the thought process too, where I'm not an accountant, but if you sell Bitcoin, you have to pay taxes on the gains. So you automatically have a loss when you sell it from where you're at. Like you could have more Bitcoin if you were to sell and then buy back, you'd have to pay taxes. So it has to go down a significant amount, 15, 20%. I'm not an accountant, but depending on where you bought it, where you sell it, it has to fall down a decent amount just for you to break even. And of course, that does reset your cost basis. Again, not trying to get into that too much, but it's hard to sell and then buy back in lower a lot of the time. And you're going to feel FOMO as it probably continues to go up during a market cycle. So does this mean that it's hopeless to sell Bitcoin? No, not necessarily. But my strategy, one of my strategies is to sell all my alts, right? I've talked about CeDeFi a lot. People get sick of me talking about CeDeFi, but this is a crypto that I still think can run. And some people just get pissed off because they didn't get on the train, they didn't buy it, or maybe they've just heard enough about it and they're not interested. But it's up 248% this month. I bought around $1.10. My largest buy was around $1.10. So I'm up over 100% on this in less than a month. Other gaming cryptos are running too. I'm not saying that this is the best crypto. A lot of cryptos are up significantly over the last 7 days, over the last 90 days. If you want to know why I'm buying, by the way, there's a link to the Patreon. We've started to have some more people join that. And there I tell everyone exactly why I'm buying. I have been giving market update videos once a day in the morning, just short videos talking about what's happening. Then market closing messages as well. Sometimes you get exclusive offers and stuff like that. There's a link to it underneath the video, but a lot of cryptos are up significantly, right? I'm not saying that you should buy one specific crypto. That's not what I'm saying. But certain altcoins like this, I think will do really well. Gaming, I think will do really well during the next bull run. But I'm going to sell it, right? We could have some never-ending cycle where all of a sudden CeDeFi goes up forever, right? And it never takes a dump. But I would expect there to be some kind of downturn at some point. And I'm more willing to sell an altcoin than I am willing to sell Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin has that institutional adoption. One of the biggest things that I'm looking for is for it to be included in retirement accounts. I'm talking about target date funds specifically. Something where people buy it forever without even looking at it. They sign up for a job, they buy it, they don't care. And they just continuously add buying pressure. And we've never had something that had such a fixed supply. So I think the price could go up exponentially. So I am planning on selling pretty much all my alts and possibly selling Bitcoin if I get to life-changing money, right? Let's say I have a significant amount of Bitcoin and I could sell and I could retire forever and then keep some on the table still. I could still keep some money in Bitcoin I could still hold on to some Bitcoin, but I could literally step away, never have a worry again about money, with the exception of maybe I want to buy a $100,000 car instead of a $70,000 car. It would have been great if I had a little bit more, but maybe those are the tough decisions I have to make, right? But if I can make life-changing money where I can just step away forever, if something were to happen on YouTube, I'm fine, my family's taken care of, then maybe I sell a little bit more Bitcoin than I would like to just to get that kind of security. But what I plan on doing is piling more money into altcoins. Even now, even though they've started to run, we are years, probably 2 years from the next market top based on historical context. So I still think we have time. Now, maybe you invest right here into altcoins and they fall 20%, 40%, 50, 60%. It could happen. We saw that back in 2019. But That's why I'm not going to go all in with my cash. I'm going to probably buy decent amounts from here on out. I've been buying a decent amount of CeDeFi. I piled in thousands and thousands of dollars over the last couple of weeks into CeDeFi. But I think that's a good way to play it, honestly. Now, 86% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. So if we get a really frothy top, like I said, and it's life-changing money, if we get to $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin, I'll probably sell some, right? But the problem is there's just that chance that we never fall back down. And when you sell something like Bitcoin, you have to put it into something else, right? You're not going to keep it in cash and spend it forever. You're going to put it in some kind of investment. And the fact is, even at $100,000, $200,000, if we get into retirement accounts, if we get into pensions, if there's more news like that happening all the time, there's hyper Bitcoinization, there are countries adopting all the stuff that we think is going to happen. I still think at $100,000 Bitcoin, I'm not sure that there's a better investment opportunity for me. Of course, maybe there's some real estate I want to buy. Maybe some stock is cheap. Maybe I do decide to sell to do that. But keep in mind, if the Fed starts lowering rates, housing prices are probably going to go up. We're also going to probably see record highs in the stock market. We're already seeing an economy that looks pretty resilient. Over the last couple of days, online sales are quite high. We've gotten good GDP readings. We've seen inflation come down. So if the Fed starts lowering rates and we don't see inflation take off, we probably will be at the soft landing, and then money will fly from money markets back into all the risk assets. So do I want to sell Bitcoin to buy Google stock at $250? Probably not, right? Or Amazon at $200? Probably not. So it's just a tough situation, right? It's always tough, but it sounds like it's going to be a situation we're going to have to face, and it's not the worst situation, right? If you are facing whether you want to take 300% gains in Bitcoin or keep it in there, that's something I can deal with. Now, part of it too, for me, is going to be based on how much money I make, right? On the channel, typically when we see bull runs, YouTubers make a lot more money. So if I'm making a ton of money outside of my investments, I might just let them ride, right? Like, let's say Bitcoin goes up to let's say it goes up to $100,000 and I'm making 5x what I'm making right now. Well, I'm just going to have so much extra cash laying around that Bitcoin might actually become a smaller part of my portfolio because I have so much more cash too. So it might not actually grow to be a large portion of my overall net worth if I continue to make more and more money. So that's something to consider too. And my situation might be different from yours. I might want to keep a 20, 30, 40% allocation to cryptocurrency. And the only way to do that is just to never sell, right? I still plan on selling altcoins when they get frothy, and you'll know when they're frothy. When people are taking screenshots of every single cryptocurrency in their portfolio and they're all up 15, 20%, when we're close to the market cycle tops of the past, right? When we look at this chart and we're like, okay, we're within 6 months and everyone's getting frothy, when people are spending tons of money on stuff that they shouldn't, that's probably a good time to be taking profits. The question is though, do you want to take profits or do you want to hold because you might be making 10% in a day, right? If you have $1 million portfolio, you might leave $100,000 on the table in one day. So that's the tough part. That's the toughest part about investing into cryptocurrency during a bull run, is taking profits. But that's why I want to talk about it here today, right? So this isn't a one solution fixes all solution. This isn't going to fix everyone's problem, right? If you are someone that's just building wealth, you might have different expectations, different goals than me. But I do think it's something important to think about. And for a lot of people, it's something that they might not have thought about with regards to Bitcoin specifically. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, check out the links underneath the video. You're not going to get any kind of discount that's better than this for Treasure. Buy it for someone that you know that's investing in cryptocurrency or getting into cryptocurrency, or probably will over the coming months. You know, that friend that you know is just going to degen into cryptocurrency when it's moving up exponentially. Check this out underneath the video for them. Also, if you want to trade, I have definitely gotten a little bit more into trading. Still not with huge percentages of my portfolio. It's under 1% of my portfolio, significantly under 1%, but it is something that helps me with my timing of the market. And I do think it is something that is a skill in cryptocurrency. So if you want to check that out, you can win an iPhone 15. This is a website that I like, Blofin. Check it out underneath the video. Thank you so much. Apologize too if I sound a little bit nasally. I'm coming down with something. Bull market vibes, running yourself down, but I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.